Welcome to Future Sport. Over the past weeks, you've seen the San Diego Chargers' Rolf Benirschke uncover new place-kicking secrets. Olympic great Al Order confirmed that he's on the road to Los Angeles. What a remarkable story he is. We visited the United States women's volleyball squad, a team also looking for 84 gold. We discussed some keys to starting children on the right track in sports. We took a step back in time with Hal Connolly, Olympic great in the hammer throw. Kate Schmidt gave us her views on steroid controversy. And from Hawaii, triathlon champion Scott Tinley provided some solid tips on endurance training and bicycling. Tips that can benefit anyone. The great hurdler, Edwin Moses, uncovered some secrets of his technique. As did Sharon Shapiro, a former collegiate gymnastics champion. You golfers learned some great tips from our computer analysis of the swing. This one belonged to television sports journalist Charlie Jones. And Rick Williams showed us a side of sport that is the very essence of dedication. Indeed, an inspiration to us all. Remember this fall? Bob Seagren's tumble didn't prevent him from dominating superstars or bringing us up to date on his activities. We shot hoops with two super athletes, Ann Myers and NBA Rookie of the Year Buck Williams. Olympic decathlon champion Bill Toomey took a look back with us. And he also gave out a few tips to the 84 hopefuls. While Gideon Ariel, our computer pro, previewed a future filled with wonder. Olympic champion Frank Shorter provided tips for runners on each show. While resident nutritionist Charles Kunzelman helped us understand why what we eat affects us on the field. And that was only the beginning. Welcome to Future Sport. Hi, I'm Vic Braden. Serving behind me, Roscoe Tanner, one of the fastest servers in the history of the game. But there are a lot of myths surrounding this man, Roscoe Tanner. He's going to expose those myths and give you some secrets. In addition, we'll also update our story on the United States women's volleyball team and visit with one of the team's top stars. But when we come back, a special tip for joggers by Frank Shorter, so don't run away. Welcome back to Future Sport.
With us is our running advisor, Frank Shorter, and we've managed to get Dr. Gideon Ariel out of the laboratory. And Gideon, we've got a story that you've wanted to tell Frank for a long time. He said, if he ever shows up, I'm going to tell him something he doesn't even know.
Well, Vic, in the early 70s, I would say in 1972, in the Olympics, for the first time we start working scientifically on designing what I call a biomechanical shoes. And we use Frank running style in the Olympics in Munich. To extract the data, to know really what is the contribution of the shoes to the runner. And we found a very interesting thing. We found that it's not the thickness of the sole, and it's not so much how much shock absorption that count in winning the Olympics. In fact, for Frank, the best shoes were the ones that didn't absorb any shock. So all the force going right into the running. Now, when we tested on our computer, we found that Frank had a very, very unique style. Every time he landed on the ground, there is no hindering force. All the force going right to the running, where all the other, even the greatest runners, like Frank, always have some slight force that stop them while they're running. It was very unique.
Braking.
The braking force. Because every time when you land, people say to athletes many times, open your stride, open your stride. And you see many young kids try to open the strides because they think if they will open their stride, they will have so many fewer strides per mile. But that doesn't work like this. It's like running with the handbrakes on, because if you open your stride, you push yourself backward.
And Frank, were you aware that these people were out there filming you and designing some shoes while you were winning some gold?
No, I think though what it does show, and I'm very flattered that they used me as the model, was that I had a sense myself, and I had the shoe company actually make a shoe for me that had no padding at all. I asked them to make a shoe for the marathon that was simply a spike used on the track with as thin a sole as they could possibly put on it, so that my instincts, I guess, were right.
Frank, you have a little bit of an injury now, and if you could describe that for us and how science can take a look at that and what you would like science to do for you in this situation.
Well, the great thing about Gideon having the information on me from 1972 is now I think I'm totally rehabilitated. I think my strength is back where it should be. It would be very interesting to be tested again to compare, just to see how close I can be to the same efficiency that I had before I was injured. And that's a great tool to have, because otherwise you never know, and there's always the uncertainty, and that's when the psychological element comes in. It now gives me a means to psychologically know that I am recovered and back to the point where I was before. I hope.
Hope is right, but Frank, after your muscle pull, you did have a tendency to favor your stronger leg. But with the technique of filming your running style with high-speed photography and programming it into our computer through a sophisticated tracing process called digitizing, we're able to illustrate your running style, the one that you used in '72 to win the marathon gold medal. Now we can compare that technique with your present form. You know, getting on the top line, you see him in 1972 running, he looked pretty smooth to me.
In 1982, when he recovered from the injury, he really approaching the same style. Now, when he was injured, the center of gravity was a little bit different. If we look on it from a multiple trace point of view, you will see that the trace is a little bit different. On the top, you see him a little bouncing. That's when he just recovered from the injury and he going up and down. But when you look on 1982, he's almost completely straight.
Yeah, completely straight. That's a great runner, Frank Shorter. You're saying, Gideon, keep that head from bouncing up and down and you'll be a faster runner.
Yes, in fact, Vic, look on his upper body is as important as the lower body, and you don't want to bounce with it.
If we're going to use instruments, if we're going to make measurements, then why not use the finest instrument?
Right. And the other is the psychological feedback. Every athlete, I think, once they get to the highest level, every athlete has to feel that he or she has done absolutely everything they can to prepare. And now the biomechanics and the other physiological testing are just an element in that training. It's just necessary for your own sense of competence to do that now.
Vic, this country, we have the best technology in the world. We put a person on the moon. But we don't use this technology to people like Frank. If we would use that, he would be on his own moon, which was on the winning gold medal pedestal.
Yeah, the interesting thing is you go to East Germany and you see all the application they're doing to their athletes, and all the literature is in English. And so they're taking our information and using it, and I think it's great that finally we're using the information ourselves.
Well, Gideon, you're in luck, because Frank has agreed to give us some more tips on running, so we look forward to those tips, Frank. I'm tickled to death to have you here.
Now here's Scott Tinley with a suggestion designed to let you get more out of your next bike ride.
One of the most common mistakes that newcomers to the sport of cycling make is in their pedal stroke. What these people do wrong is they put too much emphasis on the down portion of their pedal cycle and don't use any of the up portion that can be developed in using all the muscles of the legs. What you want to do is you want to develop with something in the vernacular is called spinning circles, which means using all of your leg motion and pulling back as much as you are pushing down. Newcomers are just emphasizing the down motion too much and are relaxing on the upstroke. If you use the whole leg and think in spinning circles, you'll end up using all the muscle of your leg and will become a much more efficient cyclist. A couple things you need to help you in this improvement of your pedal stroke are clips here that hold your feet into the pedals, and cleat shoes that will again help you stay in the pedal, that will give you the amount of traction on the pedal to actually develop this spinning stroke.
Thanks, Scott. Now this man is holding a 16-pound shot.
This is a very different show.
And we'll be back with a very strong man. Welcome back. You know, before we went to commercial, we saw Brian Oldfield dunk a 16-pound shot. It looks easy, but in order to execute this stunt, he had to apply over 900 pounds of force. Brian's one of the many athletes who come from around the world to seek Dr. Gideon Ariel's on-field advice. Let's listen in.
Lower body first. Lower body first. Okay, okay. Now, didn't it feel better?
Yeah, it was.
Well, that's it.
I have to hold it higher when I'm lower like this. You can't drop it in front.
Brian, you and me knows that you are not putting the shot, you're throwing the shot. So basically, you put the shot as far as possible behind you, and you're basically throwing. But to get to this position, you have to throw the hip first, right? So let's do it again.
Now, Gideon's a former Olympian, and what he's trying to do is to get Brian to create a whipping motion by allowing the lower body, the hip, to just move very rapidly, stop abruptly, and then that transfers energy to the upper body.
The lower body going first, trail it with the upper body. Same thing. Start lower like you did before. Okay, okay, was not as much separation as before.
No, I came wider. That slowed my
Also, what
tempo.
happened with the front leg? You tell me, what happened with the front leg?
It was off.
Was off the ground.
Yeah.
Well, how can you throw? In fact, stand here, push me on one leg. Try to push me on one leg. On one leg, stand on one leg. Push me.
Which one do you want?
Yeah, I'm stronger than you. I'm pushing you on one leg. Push me again on one leg. On one leg. No, you're on two legs. Push me on one leg. Push me. You can. No, try to push me with both legs. That's easy. So, what is that telling you? How can you? That both legs on
Two
the
legs
ground.
are better than one.
That's right. Let's do it again.
When you're coaching a 260-pounder, you're just lucky to stay alive. But anyway, Brian's comment of two legs being better than one is indeed worth repeating. It's a tip that applies to many sports. With two legs on the ground, your leverage and balance have to be better than with one. One of the remarkable stories Future Sport has been following is the United States Women's Olympic Volleyball Team, a group that has their eyes and hearts firmly fixed on the gold medal in Los Angeles. Perhaps the greatest of the team, 25-year-old Rita Crockett from Houston, Texas. Rita's talent results in part from incredible leaping ability. She projects a vertical leap of 39 inches. And as the computer stick figure shows, that just might be caused by the way she firmly plants her front leg and actually jumps against that planted leg. All this despite having to overcome a serious knee injury that took place over a year ago. And earlier we had a chance to talk to Rita about that injury.
When I injured my knee, I was out of the hospital the day after. They did surgery on it. They had a cut and they took out the cartilage and straightened up some ligaments. There was hemorrhaging or something. And as soon as I got my cast off, which was only on for a week, I just had a soft cast on, I started working out. I started doing leg lifts, and I could only lift like maybe 5 pounds on it at the most. And on this leg, the other leg, I was doing like 70, 100 and stuff like that. And every day I would push myself until within 3 weeks I was almost normal.
Now, Rita, talk is cheap, but I know that you people have had a lot of big wins and everything, but when it gets down to the wire, the Olympics are a different thing. How do you think you're going to do in the Olympics?
Number one, we're going to win a gold medal. That's why I'm here now, working 6 and 7 hours a day. I'm not going to settle for anything less.
But gold will not come easily, because after defeating China, Russia, and Japan in the recent World Championships, our team lost to host Peru. So, it's back to the rigors of day in and day out, long practice sessions, with their eyes still on the '84 Olympics in LA. Future Sport will continue. Welcome back. This man is Roscoe Tanner. His serve has been clocked at over 150 miles per hour. You know, as a coach, I'm always being questioned by critics, why do you teach the serve that Roscoe Tanner hits? And I say, because it's the best. They say, you can't teach that to people. He hits the ball on the rise. That's impossible. No one can do it but Roscoe. But there's a way we can tell how he hits the ball. We take high-speed film him as many times as we can. Then we double-check it with the film and put it on the computer. And watch carefully. You'll see, right at the apex, right as the ball gets to the top, it stops, slows down. He can hit it just before the top, right at the top, or just below the top. He's got much more time to hit the ball. Watch how his body unwinds in exactly the same manner as Brian Oldfield. He uncoils from the ground up, trying to keep one foot on the ground, stops the shoulder, snaps the forearm.
So now we know that Roscoe Tanner does not hit the ball on the way up on the serve. He hits it at the peak.
I tell you, it's great for me to learn, to know that we settled all those arguments finally. But also, I feel that my toss, not going so high above the sweet spot and coming back down, makes it a little bit more effective, because regardless of how hard I hit the ball, the other player has a little bit less time that he can focus and see the ball before I hit it, so he has less time to get ready for his return, so it helps me a little bit.
And while he has less time, you have more time, because our studies have shown that if you do hit the ball at the peak, you get a minimum of 3 times longer in which
coming editions of Future Sport. If bodybuilding is your game, this man, Franco Colombo, is the name. We'll be examining his Mr. Universe muscle tone on our computerized exercise equipment. Former world record holder Brian Goodell will join us. He'll be discussing the future of swimming, along with heavyweight boxer Ken Norton, a man experts feel defeated Muhammad Ali twice. We'll take our first dive into the Olympic sport of water polo. And also meet Al Feuerbach, another Olympian looking for a competitive edge. We'll show you how a single heartbeat can affect an archer. And talk again about the effect of television on sport with television sports journalist Charlie Jones. Our scientific analysis examines the record-breaking capabilities of Ben Plucknett and the Discus. And Rolf Benerschke of the Chargers returns to talk more about football. You'll meet another remarkable athlete, the multi-talented Brad Parks. And Future Sports team of experts will closely examine the most important issues affecting the world of sport and science today. And just so you aren't concerned that all these stories will be too much for one host, I'll pass along some personal keys to that good old pastime, relaxation. We'll be back with a final word after this. So that's it for Future Sport for today. But there are a heck of a lot of new stories, great stuff coming your way. There's another story out there for me right now, and I'm on my way to get it. You'll see it the next time. See you then. Son of a gun, I don't know if I've got enough time or not. I got to corral Rolf Benerschke, Ken Norton, Charlie Jones, Brad Parks, Brian Goodell.